All right, welcome to Let's Talk Boobs. We're doing a special edition, conspiracy theories. It's a little bit off subject about sex and just intimate situations, but we just want to get, show that we're well-rounded.
Right.
So,
I feel like every now and again we go off on tangents so much. Sometimes maybe we just want to have that show where we're not 100% focused on sex.
100%. So we're going to do our cheers. We're going to say, here's to the moon, here's to Paul. I'm going to drink this drink and fuck you all.
Whoa.
Cheers.
God damn it.
Okay, so
right.
one of the things that I want to talk about with conspiracy theories, which, I didn't even realize it was a conspiracy theory until I was like 18 and I dated this guy and I was like, really? You don't think somebody landed on the moon? I was like, yes, of course they did. But I'd never even really given it a thought because It was in history books. It wasn't a thing that it wasn't a thing. And so, they, because we wanted to race, Russia? We wanted to race Russia and be the first man on the moon. So they think that we basically televised this fake landing of the moon.
Well, I think, too, in the beginning that we were losing the space race. That they were launching rockets quicker and they were getting people in space quicker.
Yeah.
So I think we really did want to make it a point that, whoever gets to the moon first wins. And what's funny is we really haven't been back in a long fucking time.
Well, I was reading, I was kind of digging in, which I didn't get a whole lot of information. I would read article after article and it was just kind of very diluted information.
Well, I think a lot of it goes back to people wanting to say that Oliver Stone directed it and that all these special effects. So, I mean, it's almost a point of trying to equate the ability to do special effects film-wise with the ability to fool the American public that we landed on the moon.
Well, I had read an article. I can't remember, how long it was after the moon landing, and I can't remember who provoked Buzz Aldrin, but there was a point where there was a public event and this person had provoked Buzz Aldrin and he fucking
freaked out,
assaulted him.
Yeah.
He was just fuck you, man. And but they were he was provoked, so they were just it really wasn't his fault.
I would say this, I'm a firm believer in the moon landing.
Yeah.
And respect to the guys who took it upon themselves to risk their lives getting there. I mean, I think we were talking earlier, too. I mean, the 84 Challenger rocket exploding. But, I mean, you have these iconic moments in life, and for the people to have landed on the moon, for people who were... Can you imagine that's...
Oh, yeah, back almost 50 years ago.
Now, you imagine watching...
Over 50 years ago.
Because we're...
It was 69, I think.
60,
Kennedy, no.
Yeah, we're looking at...
69 was a big year. Was it Kennedy, Marilyn Monroe, and the moon landing?
So if we're looking at
I could be wrong, guys.
If we're looking at 1970, we got 30 years. Yeah, we're at 50 years. Over 50 years for sure.
Half a century.
And we're not spouting out that for a specific reason other than the fact that to a certain degree you remember these things as being iconic.
Yeah.
And for people to have watched television and watched somebody walk on the moon, I can't imagine being a kid at that time. That would be such an awesome thing to see.
Well, when did the Challenger explode?
1984.
Okay, because I was I don't remember that. I remember it being a big thing, when I was younger, but I was in my mom's belly at that moment.
For me, I would have been 11, and so that and because there was a teacher on there was a teacher that Sally Ride that had been chosen to go on that. They made it a big deal.
That was such a big deal. Oh,
it wasn't just an average, So everything stopped for a minute. They stopped school, they stopped everything. So it's I
didn't realize that.
I would say for my parents' generation, again, I think we talked about this too. It'd be like JFK when JFK was killed, when Elvis died. There's these things that you remember that are just so ingrained. 9/11. I would say 9/11 is probably one of the biggest things.
That's one of the... Princess Diana, I think, is one of the first ones. I remember I was we were camping, we were on a Christmas trip or something. It was either Christmas or Thanksgiving. We were traveling from Texas. I don't know when she died. I can't remember, but I think it was either November or December. And I remember like getting ready in the bathhouse, like we were getting ready to take a shower and then drive even more further towards Texas. And somebody was like, I think I was like 9 or 10. And somebody was like, Princess Diana died last night, you know, in a car chase or something like
Absolutely.
that. And I was like, what the fuck? You know, like, I mean, like, I knew Princess Diana, like, it wasn't like, I mean, everybody just loved her. I didn't know much about her or about politics
Well,
at that
she was
age.
an
but,
icon.
you know, yeah.
But I think
and I was
that,
like, really?
I think a lot of Princess Diana's allure was that she wasn't part of the
Royal family. Or,
right. She was the person who had married into it. But she was also the person that everybody sort of gravitated to.
Because she was human and she looked at people as people and she didn't, you know.
But her kids also, I think, have taken a lot of that with
which is
them.
Amazing. Yeah, and that's awesome.
But at some point, too, you got to think about, do you want that? Do you want that sort of, like, she was such an enigmatic figure.
I think so.
That the kids, whether they wanted to be or not, and especially now that one of the kids is leaving the royal family and has married some person of color and has had issues, and you know, it's it just shows you how much the world changes over generation to generation to generation to see the differences. And
the thing is, like, regardless, I mean, there is. I'm a huge believer of tradition and everything like that, but also like I'm a huge believer in like being happy and like if just because it's tradition doesn't necessarily make it right. Like I mean, if you can go off and you find the person that you're absolutely infatuated with and you're gonna be happy for the rest of your fucking life, who am I to be like, no, just because these laws that we've come up with as a family on our own, you know, like I don't think it's wrong to do that. I mean, in the family's eyes it is because they've done, this is their law and their rules for all the years, but it's not like, and I'm a religious believer. It's not God's law, you know, it's just human law.
All right, let's regroup.
All right, yes. So, we talked about the moon landing.
And we are the kings and queens of tangent, so we do apologize, but yeah, squirrel.
Also, if you see a squirrel on her podcast, drink. Or if you see a kitty cat going up and down those stairs, drink. That's our little secret drinking game. So also I wanted to say, I think Stephen Curry had said something about, like, he didn't believe... Stephen Curry. And I could be wrong. It might not have been him, but I think... I suck at names. I don't.
That's what I'm there for. I'm the fact checker.
I don't follow celebrities or anything unless you're a cowboy.
Curry.
I don't care. Stephen Curry. Anyways, so it could have been him. I think it was him.
Basketball player.
Yeah, but they were just. He said something about he didn't believe in the moon landing, and so like they took him to NASA and he touched moon rocks, and then he was like, "Oh, I was just saying it in a joke."
That's a weird thing that you say that because. I'm going to say that maybe it wasn't Stephen Curry.
I feel like it definitely was an athlete. It might have been him.
There are many basketball players that are flat earthers. There are many basketball players, professional basketball players that are flat earthers. And I'm curious as to why...
It's such a culture. It's such a culture in that. Basketball players.
Like, and it's not a black, white, or anything. It's not football players. I mean, there's just, you know what I'm saying, like the diversity amongst.
It's like specifically basketball players.
Yeah, I'm like.
I wonder if there's just like this one person who's just like infected them all.
That the Earth is flat because obviously it is.
Because they only play on a fucking a flat. Their life is basketball court.
I'm almost
and
a
they're
little
like, my
offended.
world doesn't extend beyond this basketball court. It is flat. And it goes up to bleachers, and then I go around.
I'm going to say this for an episode that's not sexual. I'm kind of turned on the fact that I feel like you've pissed off every basketball player on earth.
Sorry, Carolina. I love you. Hence our tablecloth.
No, but I mean, it's a weird thing to me. And that's fun and games. I'm just kidding about the basketball player thing.
100%, guys. Like, really.
But fun and games, the idea that there are people that do believe that the earth is flat and they are science deniers.
Yeah. So, and we'll touch on that and in round 3 because it's kind of going to go along with like people who don't believe there's gravity, people who believe the world's flat and the reasons why. And it was just funny to me, like whenever Jose came along and I love my friend Colby because he was just like, all right, I just got here. Let's play this game. I'll sit here and get drunk with you all night and talk to you about. He's like, let's toy with it. Let's toy with this topic, and that's why Kelly's like, nope.
I'm a new addition. I'm like, somebody's hitting me in the head.
A new addition to our set is the skeleton. Hence why Heine didn't realize it was there because he's new.
He got me. I was like something.
It's the skeleton of my whole job. It's hanging around. It's hanging around over my head. It's hanging over my head.
I like him though.
He's awesome.
And you know what? You know what I like about him most? His feet don't smell.
That's true. Your feet definitely smell. My feet did smell one day, though, and you let me borrow some socks, and then I fell down the stairs and broke my toe.
Next song.
Another conspiracy theory that I didn't realize, I knew about 9/11 and the Pentagon, or I didn't know about the Pentagon. I knew about, like, the Bush conspiracy theories and everything, and we'll go on later about the Pentagon a little bit more detailed, but, just about the Twin Towers, and I didn't really go into the Building 7 or something like that. I don't know if you know anything about that, but...
The airplane that was supposedly where the passengers were calling people at home and talking to them.
That hit the towers?
It didn't hit anything. So you had the two planes that hit the towers, and there's that conspiracy theory. And then you had the Pentagon, and there's that conspiracy theory. Now you have the one plane.
There was a plane that was supposed to hit somewhere in California, right? Or
no. I think that they thought it was going to hit the White House.
Oh, that's right.
And that it went down, and the rationale behind it going down is that the passengers of the plane rebelled and took the plane back over without somebody being able to fly the plane.
Oh, and then it just crashed randomly?
So looking in terms of, like, let's say you're on...
I didn't look up that part. I didn't know. There are like 7 parts of the 9/11 conspiracy.
And I've got a backstory to this, too. Let's say that you're on the plane and let's say you called somebody and they're like, oh my God, somebody just ran into the towers. Now you're on the plane knowing that you're going to die. So you're on the plane knowing what had happened to another plane that was in the same situation. And so the story is that there were passengers on the plane that rebelled and took the plane back over.
So was there evidence that there was a passenger in the front?
No. But let's say that that's what happened. Now you have nobody who knows how to fly a plane, and that's why it crashed. And I think it crashed in Pennsylvania.
Okay, I was like, where did it crash? I don't remember where that one crashed.
I think that this one crashed in Pennsylvania. So if we look at it in terms of the crew doing that, the conspiracy theory is that the planes had already hit the towers.
They'd hit the Pentagon.
That the plane had already crashed into the Pentagon. And that U.S. air fighter planes
shot that plane down.
Shot this plane
down. Oh, I did hear that. I did hear that one.
That they were like, and honestly, I can understand the logic behind that. But to get behind that and tell the people of America that you killed...
Yeah. In order to save, houses and stuff, because people didn't know how to fly it. So I get that.
So what
I can see both sides.
That's the one that's the most curious to me.
Yeah.
Like the 9/11 thing, I'm going with hijackers.
Osama.
And I'm going with...
Osama, not a missile, actual plane.
And then you get into this, idea that, you get into arguments of, if this had happened, the towers wouldn't have fallen, and so the conspiracy surrounds the ability for these planes to have created a situation that the whole tower would have fallen. Yeah. And to me, I think that's completely viable.
That's true, but
So when I look at a conspiracy theory as being more viable, that's the one to me as just being like, you know what? In 20, 30 years, they're going to be like, we did it and we had to do it.
Yeah. So, well, we're going to wrap up this round of Let's Talk Boobs Special Edition Conspiracies. And we're going to move on into our third round. We're going to talk about gravity and flat earthers because I feel like we could talk about that for days.
Is this episode really going to exist?
Yes. And so please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're already watching. It's
Share
one
some
click
love.
away. And also share, like, comment on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. We love you guys. Please continue to follow us and support us. We will see you next time for round 2 of our special edition conspiracies, where we talk about Paul McCartney, which I didn't even know was a thing, and a few other conspiracies. So stay tuned, and we look forward to hearing your comments. Have a good night.